Ready to go with our good buddy Bruce Pearl, the Auburn head coach. Coach, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Who are you rooting for to win the NCAA tournament?
Well, that's a great question, Dan. Good morning. It's great to be with you. I was rooting for some guys that hadn't gotten there to get there. First off, I was rooting for Purdue to get there. I was rooting for NC State to get there in the 11th seed. I was rooting for Tennessee to get there because the farthest they had gotten was the Elite Eight. This now be the second time. First time was when I believe we got there in 10. Because I know the mountain that you've climbed when you've gotten to the Final Four. I know what it means to a coach. I know what it means to a program. I know what it means to the players. Now, once there, to your question, I don't know that I've got a favorite at this point. I think Purdue and Yukon are the two best teams that are left, obviously, and but I don't know at this point I've got anybody that I'm rooting for.
Okay. Would you root for or against Alabama because they're in your conference? Do you want your conference to win a national championship?
Man, that's barely even a fair question, Dan. That's unbelievable. I mean, if I say, hey, I'm rooting for Alabama, I'm rooting for the SEC, I'd be completely lying and just disingenuous. Okay. That's my arch rival.
That's fine.
The last time the SEC got to the Final Four was 2019 when Auburn got there. Auburn was the first program from the state of Alabama to ever get there. Now Alabama can join us. So I mean, come on, man. There's no way, and even within the framework of your own human nature. Now, I have said this many, many times, and I might say it again. Nate Oates is one of the best coaches in the country. They have got a great program. They play fast and they play fun. There are other reasons why prospects should come to Auburn, not Alabama. Okay, so I'm not giving them a recruiting infomercial here.
Okay,
but no, I will not be rooting for Alabama.
Does Yukon have a weakness?
I don't think so, and I've not studied them as much as some of the other teams, but I don't think so. The weakness could be that it's only a 40-minute game. If it was an 80-minute game, they beat everybody by 60. The only thing I think that could get UConn would either be Zach Edey, or because I think he could still be pretty effective, or it's just 40 minutes and it's one game and it's March Madness. UConn's the best team in the field.
What's it like to be in the huddle? UConn goes on that 30-0 run against Illinois. Have you ever had that moment in the huddle with any of your teams where you go, you got yourself in this, you get yourself out of this? I got no words to say.
I mean, when you're the opposing coach?
Yeah.
How about get a stop? How about get a rebound? How about let's get a stop?
Oh, that's your Newt Rockney speech. How about you get a stop here or a rebound?
Yeah. I mean, let's bring it down in its simplest terms. How about defending without fouling? How about anything to get a stop other than just me having to call timeout to stop the bleeding?
We have big men back in basketball. I don't know if this is an aberration here, but you got some big men who are certainly making an impact. Edey, who came back, improved his draft stock, I'm guessing. NC State, Connecticut. These are guys. I don't know, who's going where in the draft. That's usually how we tend to decide if somebody's a good big man. But these are all impactful big men. Is there a trend here?
Yeah. Dan, that's a great discussion and a great question. Guess what, though? There's been big men in college basketball, and there always will be. There always will be. The separator is there aren't the same caliber, the same kind of big men in the NBA because of its being positionless basketball.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have a post player anymore. But in college you do, in high school you do, and we always will. Even a year ago, Sonogo was a pretty good big man in the college basketball game. Sheway was a pretty good big man at Kentucky in the college basketball game. The big kid at Gonzaga. So this is a great difference between college and the pros, is you can legitimately have a dominating back to the basket, post offense, post defense big because in the NBA, everything is 5 out, and excuse me, you 5 out. In the college game, it's 4 and 5 out, but you have a post precedence, and it's one of the things I like about our game.
But also, you get these players we're talking about, DJ Burns, and you're talking about Klingon, and you're talking about Edey. They're not one and done guys. So they have a little bit more of a storyline that it's not coming in and, wanting to shoot threes. This is who they are, and it seems like their coaches have built around them and allowed them, to be able to play the basketball that they're comfortable with.
Absolutely. And they're all great stories. And like you said, sometimes we judge the quality of the big men about their draft stock, and that should not be the case. We should judge the quality of the big men based on the impact that they have on their teams. And, Klingham's gotten so much better. DJ Burns has gotten better and being utilized properly. Edey, obviously, would be the one big whose game could potentially translate because he is so dominant. And he is such a factor. And he's gotten, the last play of the game against Connect, when he takes him to the basket and is able to block that shot, that he can't make that play a year ago. So he has become more mobile. I think the issue with the difference in the game is the NBA, the men are so big and they are so athletic. And the rim being at 10 feet and the lane being oh so wide, there's just not enough room anymore for guys like Shaq or guys like Alcindor or guys like pros coming out right now. I would be very interested to see where a Bill Winnington would play, or the great inside player for the Celtics, Parrish, or the Bad Boys and Detroit Pistons. Is there room for any center in college pro basketball now? I don't know.
Talking to Bruce Pearl, the Auburn head coach. The Tigers were number 4 seed, lost to Yale in the first round. What the hell happened there?
Well, anything that would be any way critical of any other circumstance other than Yale playing great takes away from from Yale's victory. It is March Madness. Last year, Princeton in the 2:15 game did beat Arizona. There is something about matchups. Those Ivy League teams play harder and they're more physical. They're not as athletic. They're not as big, but they don't do things to beat themselves. They won't turn it over as much. They'll make their free throws. They'll value possessions. They're playing for one shining moment because all year long they've been battling it out in the Ivy League where the quality of basketball is good, but it's just not incredibly above the rim, and they're dying to get into that game. Now, in our game, we had a couple of things that happened. Number one, 25 fouls were called in our game. You could add the fouls in the Houston Duke game, and they don't get to 25. And they fouled each other every single time down. So they let you play in the NCAA tournament, but they didn't. That was not the case. The game was not called that way.
Wait a minute, you're not going to get fined retroactively by criticizing the officials, are you?
Have you checked my contract? I can afford a fine. I'm not criticizing the officials. I'm giving you facts. Facts are okay, right? I haven't yet said one word big. I'm just saying that if you added, and so sometimes in the first round, for whatever reason, the game get called closer than you do in the later round because it's. And so should I train my team to play for the first round, or should I train my team to play in the NCAA tournament?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, because you can't get fined.
You got to train your team to be ready to go. First round. That's it.
We were ready to go. Listen, we shot 50% in the game. We out-rebounded them. We were ready to go. Yale made shots. Yale made plays. It can happen. And we started the game 12-5. Now, I got one of my players, my second best player.
No, we don't need to rehash.
All right, I'm just saying.
You lost. Yeah, you ruined some brackets there, including Adam Sandler, who had you going to, I think, the Final Four. So I hope you're happy.
I'm not happy because Adam Sandler is like my favorite Jew, and he created a song that I could sing in Hanukkah. and I let him down. I busted a lot of brackets of some friends, so I've got to own that.
You know what? I'm going to talk to him maybe this Wednesday because I think we're doing Happy Gilmore too. Maybe I put in a word for you. Okay.
Oh my God, I'd love to.
Yeah,
I would love to. Thank you, Dan.
Can you use any part of your salary to pay for NIL if you wanted to sprinkle in a little bit?
No, I'd love to. I'd love to be able to contribute to that, but I can't. And listen, the game is great off the court, and what coaches and players have done to put the game in the position that it's in right now is really, really good, and everybody should enjoy it. Right now off the court, I'm glad the kids are able to get the NIL. I don't want them to work at Subway. I want them to own 5 of them. And if the market is in a situation where the kids are worth what they're worth, how much are these kids at NC State worth to NC State right now? How much? And the answer is a lot. Now there are some things that I would do. I would not have the unlimited transfer whenever you want to transfer portal and the NIL working at the same time, because together they're not working. There's more structure in professional sports regarding how we compensate our athletes than there is right now. We just got to find a way to provide a little order and a little structure so that every year I'm not having to ask my wife at the end of the year, honey, would you like to stay married to me? We just celebrating our 15th anniversary, or for a player, we're celebrating our 2nd anniversary. Would you like to stay married for another year? Because somebody across the street, has got a better deal.
Your wife officially hasn't entered the transfer portal.
No, she has not.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
I'm really, really grateful for.
Okay. All right. But there could be somebody who entices her with, the bag.
Absolutely.
The bag, as they like to say.
Absolutely. And somebody's always got a bigger bag than me.
How about we end it right there?
Always, Dan. Always a pleasure. Hey, listen, next time let's solve the world's problems, okay?
Okay. All right. And I would leave you with this. Much nachas.
My friend, thank you.
You're welcome. You need it. You needed it after, losing to Yale. Yeah. But we moved on. Much nachas.
SEC champions in 2024, SEC tournament champions in 2024. I'm very proud of our kids. It didn't end the way we want it to. Y'all be good.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Dan.
That's Bruce Pearl. Let me see. Maybe I could, name drop, talk to Sandler. Sandler picked Auburn to win it all, I think. So I don't know. He might be Danny, I don't want to see that guy ruin my bracket.